Elia presents Talking, and today we're here to talk sports with my friend Travis Atreo. He's a singer-songwriter with over 1.3 million monthly listeners on a Spotify channel. He hosts live stream concerts 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. He's the first person to appear on both the Underdogs and Talking episodes of mine. He is a sports enthusiast. What's up, Travis?
What up, man? Thanks for having me.
Of
Fantastic.
course.
My Kim.
We're back at it. All
Back
right,
at
so
it.
yes. So the last week, we cannot avoid talking about the NBA boycott. On the 4-year anniversary of Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem to protest social injustice, the Milwaukee Bucks and the NBA boycotted scheduled playoff games. We spiraled into the WNBA, Major League Baseball, Naomi Osaka, pretty much the whole sports world boycotting any scheduled sporting events they had going on after Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back by the Kenosha Police Department. So the first question I'm going to lay out is the athletes kind of like the modern day public figure activists?
Man, yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that nowadays, like, the most influential people are the ones that are the influencer plus, right? Like, there's influencers, and then there's, I think, influencer plus, like celebrities, and then there's athletes. And I think there's just so many people with influence now that you can't separate the passion of the person and the sport. Like, people are not going to shut up and dribble anymore.
Right.
Like, not going to take it. And because I think what social media has done with people of influence is that it's created such a strong relationship between like the fan supporter and the person that they admire, that you're it's almost hard to separate the two. Remember back in the
Yep.
day, like, to be able to separate, the divas, their personality and their talent, and now it's like we get to see their lives, and we get to see kind of who they are and what they represent, and it's kind of the whole package now. So it's always funny to me when, there's people that don't like what's happening with like Black Lives Matter and social justice issues, but then they're still following like LeBron, they're still following all the teams,
100.
and so it just kind of goes to show that even if we might be divided, we actually still might, be a lot more the same in, our tastes and our wants, and actually like who we are as people. So I think it's really interesting to see where humanity and society is going right now. But I think that, like, the man, NBA players are just leading the charge for change. It's really amazing to see them rise up, recognize their power, and use it, for the benefit of society and for the benefit of those that support them.
Right. And I think also, I don't know if is anyone written about this, but because like a narrative I've always heard growing up is athletes are overpaid. Athletes are overpaid. But I think the rise in salary to sports athletes allow it for them to be able to boycott with power as well. The owners are making much more money than they used to, and the athletes are as well. And in 1961, which is the only other time the NBA boycotted, the salaries were extremely low. There was no one making 6 figures then, even then. Like, for
Uh,
example, if Amazon warehouse drivers and warehouse workers were making 30, $40 million a year, they could boycott for a week. They could.
That's true. That's true. I mean, they would they would take up a much larger amount of their expenses for their business. So it's like, they have to make sure that they can. But I think you're right, man. Like, because for so long, I think owners, and I mean, we saw this even last year. LeBron had said something. It's just a weird thing with like the term owners
Yep.
and players, and how the majority of owners are not people of color. They're white. So it's this weird reminiscent thing that's going on by still exploiting black talent for you know for the benefit of these white owners. And it's like, if you don't see that, then okay, well, you may not have seen anything. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing. But now, because the players are paid so much, and it just keeps going up and up, it actually is allowing them more power. And especially when they can do it collectively, like, that's why these collective bargaining agreements and stuff are so
Yep.
powerful. That's why, like, the NBA Players Association has so much power. And I think that it's amazing to see it when we do recognize our power, what we actually can do.
Yeah, and then the quick communication right now with technology and the bubble helped too. Like I was watching it real time on ESPN on NBA TV that the Bucks boycotted And then when the Magic found out, they left. Otherwise, I think they might have actually just gotten the win for staying on the court. So respect to the Orlando Magic
Oh,
for
is
that.
that what happened?
Yeah. And then right after that, CP3, who's the president of the Players Association, and Russell Westbrook talked in private immediately. And then they worked it out. And then, LeBron and then all of them, like they get on the phone. Like these guys all communicate with each other. And back then, there just wasn't that open line. And I think
Mhm.
information, right, money is going to help social injustice going forward too. And I think it's beautiful because like we all love watching sports in America, and all of it, most of it is on black people's labor. And
Dude.
right, and so we got to keep going. There is one thing I want to ask. So during the players meeting they had the day after the boycott, they were voting and deciding on what to do with the season, and it was reported by Woj that it was only the Lakers and Clippers who voted to end the season, and everyone else wanted to resume. Do you think it would have? I mean, obviously, we all love watching sports, and throwing that aside, do you think it would have meant more if they just ended it completely? Or do you think even the pause, because it seems like everyone has been talking about this boycott the entire time. Do you think it makes the same amount of impact, or you think it would have made a bigger impact if they just ended the season altogether?
I mean, man, like, I think, yeah, everybody's always I mean, everybody's so divided on everything nowadays, right?
Yeah.
But I guess like my opinion about it was I think that they made the impact that they wanted to initially, because I think that um again, I don't this is all, we're all just speculating, right? We're just sports fans, right? So um I think that what they did was when they did the initial boycott, when the Milwaukee Bucks didn't ask for permission or didn't tell anybody, they just did it. I thought that was badass. I thought that was awesome. And then I thought that was what they needed to do. And the trickle down effect of getting everybody else on board to boycott was just so cool. It just it just showed so much unity, in what we're trying to fight for. Um, but I actually do believe that moving forward, playing is actually going to have a better echo. I think in if I can say that, like, I get it. Some people are sad that they think that the NBA caved. They think that these players caved, because they were persuaded by the NBA authorities and people. And I know people are mad at Obama because Obama was part of that conversation and stuff. But I think that what we're seeing, like we've been talking about, players are recognizing their power. And the thing I love about the NBA is that they, like, all of their messaging is all about Black Lives Matter and all about social justice issues. And they know that they're getting eyes on their TV, whether people like it or not. It's pretty much, I feel like what they're saying is, look, if you want to still enjoy basketball, we're going to create this narrative and we're going to show it to you no matter what you believe or not, because this is what we're standing up for. And I think that that can have a longer term effect than just boycotting and shutting down and staying silent. I think that with how information is shared so much quickly today and so much faster, and there's always something new that's happening, I think that if you have an ability to have a lot of eyeballs on your message, then I think use that for that even more and more. Because remember, at the end of the day, it's not just adults that with polarizing opinions that are watching, it's a lot of kids too. And the reason why we're at this place, I feel like, in our society right now, where social justice finally matters so much to us, is because of the generations even before us, that it, like waves on a shore, just kept smacking society with it, like, we have to rise up, we have to rise up. And then it finally culminated into this thing now where we're at in 2020. But if it wasn't for their efforts of constant messaging, constant reminding us we need to do better, we need to do better, then I don't think we'd be here. So it's only showing these kids that are growing up in this pandemic time what we can do with our power, especially people of color, especially people of minorities. So I think it's great. I mean, I think that it would have been a failure if things just went back to normal. But hearing about all the talks and all about, and even like, dude, last night watching, like, the Lakers Blazers game, seeing how much of the messaging has already changed, not changed, but like been more intensified. I
Hmm.
love it. And I think that they're gonna do a lot more for the cause with that by playing.
Yeah, well, yeah, because a lot of people are like, well, what did they accomplish? And just seeing some of the stuff they've accomplished already is like the Milwaukee Bucks owner called the governor of Wisconsin, which called the Kenosha Police Department, and then trying to figure out and charge the officers. And then also the NBA owners have turned every NBA arena into a safe voting poll to people who have
That
no access. Right. So clearly, in just less than a week, they've already accomplished all of that by not playing and bringing that up. So I don't think there is no importance to even avoiding one game. And even Naomi Osaka, who's just she, I had to reread it. Like she literally just forfeited because she didn't know that tennis was just gonna boycott altogether. So she was willing to give it all up to just So props to all these, and I gotta know a lot of these athletes are young. They're young,
mm-hmm.
and it's amazing to see people taking proactive stances at a younger age, because a lot of the people I'm looking up to watching are younger than me too. And we can't just rely on just older people, and we got to push forward with everyone and the inspirations around us. And that old saying of keep politics out of sports is like, you can't, we're not. And also I might add, like, this isn't just politics. We're talking about just like being a human. Like, just look at this from a human perspective.
Yeah, man, like that's what we're trying to get back to, right? We're trying to get back to a society that's empathetic for each other, that's understanding of what, the things that each of us are going through, like that's at least like
Right.
just the basis of what we're, just some sort of decency where we can bring up issues and people are like, yeah, that's not right, versus bringing up an issue and then people politicizing it immediately. I mean, that's the thing is like, people keep saying keep politics out of this. I mean, okay, if your friends are dying, is it political? Like if
Right.
if friends in your family and people like you and your society and your culture are dying at ridiculous rates and it just continues, it's not political anymore. I mean, that's like if anybody says stop making it political, is making it political. I feel
Right,
like.
right, right. And then, before the NBA boycott, this news was reported, and I wanted to bring this up because, like, over the last few episodes, we've been making fun of Paul George because he's been playing so poorly. And then it was reported that Paul George wasn't playing well because he was mentally in a bad place. He said he quote a
Wow.
dark place, and being in the bubble has messed with his mental health. And then I felt very bad because, like, you know, I understand the perspective of other people saying, they're at a resort, they have all these things, they're rich, they have all these stuff. But like, if someone took me away from my wife and child and I had to be in a room and just work, and don't forget, like, it's still work to them, right? It would put me in a mental health, like, and mental health is always an issue that we keep bringing up, and it's hard to figure out what's going on in someone else's mind. What do you think How do you think you would be handling it if you had to be only around your coworkers, and in your room, even if it is nice, like a Disney World resort, and you couldn't be around your fiance and all that? And like, how do you think you'd be handling this? We're on month what, like 2, or finishing month 2? So
Yeah, wow, isn't that crazy? Like we've been waiting for sports to come back, and now we're already like 2 months into it. That's crazy. And it's supposed to go what till October, I think,
yeah,
right?
if it goes fully, yeah, to the end of October. Yeah.
Man, I mean, I think that when, dude, for me, I would not be doing okay at all. Like, I was reading someone, reporter writing about his experience in the bubble, and he was saying that like just because I was trying to get a grasp for even the reporters, and he was saying these rooms are not meant for 7 days of time spent in there a week. It's actually meant for you fly in with your family, you go to Disney World for a couple days, and then you leave. And look, I think that yeah, I would not be doing well at all. And I think that when people are judging NBA players like this, like, oh, they have it so good, I think that they're forgetting that they're still human beings at the end of the day, that we still have our own values and priority systems. Like these are still fathers, these are dads, they're still parents. So it's like I think that for Paul George, I just think about like his life and his value system and what are his priorities, and I think more so of that rather than the amenities or the luxuries afforded. It's like, yo, no matter how much money you have, your heart still bleeds for your kids, right? Like your heart still bleeds for your family, and being at that level, I think I just don't think that you get to a level of accolades like they have without a strong support system. And
Yes.
remove that person out of that support system, yo, that's hard, right?
Right.
Like just for anybody. Like, so I think that we need to stop judging people so much. And I was giggling because of, I remember when they were calling him playoff. I
Playoff
just
P.
what playoff P. I remember what Charles Barkley said. They keep calling Charles Barkley Champion Chuck now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love how much they troll him.
Yeah. No, so
But
yeah, there's the two parts to this. Is like, yeah, you're having fun with it because it is sports, and then that, but then we don't know. So like, it got me thinking, like, Paul George cannot be the only guy who's thinking like this.
yeah,
There's got to be more. There's like, what, 430 something players in the bubble. Like, I'm sorry, 340 something players in the bubble. Like, there's got to be other people who feel like this. Like, LeBron has a wife and 3 kids at home, and
mm-hmm.
right. And then, and then there's players like Kemba Walker, who was on record, like, I'm not married, I don't have a kid, like, I'll be fine. But he was like saying, like, some of his teammates, they might struggle. Damian Lillard he has a baby at home. To be away from a baby. The one thing I did think about is like, and you always do know this because you see the videos online, but like,
Had a baby.
say it one more time.
Was it Mike Conley that just had a baby that had to quarantine, and then
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, literally he went back just to witness the birth of his child, and then he had to leave. Like that's
Yes.
terrible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like dad, you don't want to do that.
Well, which is why I also thought the mental health of a lot of our military can't be great
Mm.
because they're away from their families for long periods of time. So that is not a job that normal people could do. That just seems so difficult. And so you got to respect all the people. Like, he's like, well, what are they sacrificing? He's like, well, they're sacrificing time away from their home so we can watch sports. Like, we got
Right.
to appreciate this. And yeah, it's a weird time right now. Like, no one could have ever envisioned this. And I did hear reports that Major League Baseball has 2 weeks left in the season, and if they make it to the 2 weeks with no other big, corona scare, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen, they will have a bubble system for the playoffs. So it does seem like yeah. So it does seem like the NBA and the bubble figured out something, a blueprint for other people to take.
That's
We'll
awesome.
see. Yeah, we'll see how it goes with the NFL. I want to ask Travis, we're both Seahawks fans. Like, and I have this debate a lot. Like, do you think the NFL season will start on time?
We'll start. I mean, I was watching Hard Knocks. Uh, the few episodes that they have about the Chargers and and the Rams, and just seeing like their protocols and stuff that they're doing, to make sure that they can practice and stuff. It makes me hopeful. But I think that we'll start on time, but I don't know if we'll even finish the season,
Sure.
just based on seeing like MLB and how some of these ball clubs are, the whole team can't play, like, so then what? Then it's a 14-day quarantine for everyone and testing. And so I just think that with football, there's 53 players, and on top, not just 53 people on the sideline, but way more staff and coaches and, assistants. And it's just like, man, I don't know how with that many people, like how, and,
Yeah.
contain it. Because I mean, with 400 something players in the NBA bubble, they're already like, I feel like doing everything that they can, and they're stretched already so thin, just making sure. But yeah, that's the only thing I'm scared of. I just had my draft for my fantasy league last night, and it was funny. Everybody was kind of like, well, we'll see how long this goes, type thing, because we just don't know. I mean, of course I'm hopeful. I want sports to continue. I want everything to come back, because I think, especially right now, we need it. And also from a business standpoint, I think all sports want to come back because everybody has access and everybody
Yeah.
wants it. So they want to get, a hold of those advertising dollars. But man, I just never realized, like, I realized so much how much I took for granted sports, even, like baseball's every day, right? Like even taking for granted baseball, and golf and things that I normally would just kind of leave on but not pay too much attention to. It's weird, man.
Yeah, 2020 has taught us what we took granted for, like even like going to LA and getting Korean barbecue with you is like that, like right. Or yeah, or our infamous, cockatoos nights. Like we took for granted a lot of things that just seem very regular that I guess isn't regular when circumstances changes this much. And then like I'm a little bit worried and I can't tell if they're bluffing. Like owners like Jerry Jones are saying they're gonna have fans in the stands. And I'm like, are you there's no
Dude,
way like we can have fans in the stands in 3 weeks. Like,
I know, right? Like I remember maybe a couple weeks ago, I was watching ESPN like late at night, and they were playing the Korean Baseball League.
yeah.
And I was just watching, and I was like, oh, there's fans, but they're limited, and they're kind of spread out and stuff. I was like, oh, that's cool, because Korea has way less numbers than the U.S.
Yes.
Korea a night and day job on Corona and handling it. So I think that they can do that. But here, where it's still just crazy, I mean, letting fans in and then thinking that everything's going to be fine. I mean, there's still people that are such an uproar about the masks. So how do you then move forward with having fans in the stands that don't want to wear masks or become unruly when your staff are the ones that have to police that? And you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know how they're going to do it. I get it. I completely get that everybody wants to go back, and I get that people are impatient and are angry, because we've been, same. I've been going crazy here just in my head, like when am I going to be able to do anything? When are we going to be able to do anything? But this is the sacrifice you make from being in a community, right? From being in society. You got to sacrifice for the betterment of your neighbor, and otherwise we won't ever get past this. Like something I wanted to, we are talking, we're both sports enthusiasts and stuff, but something I've been wanting to tweet, I haven't, is y'all didn't grow up, some of y'all didn't grow up playing team sports, and it shows.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? Like we're on the same team, man. Like
Yeah.
don't we all want to survive, and don't we
Yeah.
all want to go back to work?
Actually, if I add one thing to the quote you just said is
Yeah.
the first time I tried out for a team, even with the group of friends that we play little rec leagues with, right? You don't get cut from little rec leagues. And I didn't notice it when I was little, but as we got into the point where they start cutting you, I realized that some people also are playing team sports as an individual, never passing the ball. They'll care about their numbers more than winning the game and all these things. And I realized as I got older too, like it has a correlation to people's personalities too, you know and it's you're like, well, Michael wanted to win, and then you call him a ball hog and all that, but I also truly believe the Michael Kobe's of the world, if the options that they have around them are better, they aren't hogging the ball as much. And there is evidence of that because Michael gave the ball up to Steve Kerr to hit the game winning shot. Kobe, you know, let Shaq be Shaq when they were playing together, and all this stuff. So like I do
They trust
think,
each other.
yeah. So like sports to me, other than also the like, the disciplining and then the physical aspects that's good for your health is you learn how to cooperate with one another well too, and learn to have patience with other players. And
True.
if I don't know how many of my childhood friends are gonna watch me, I know it took me a while to develop patience. Like I wasn't patient. Like, I wasn't. So, but it did help a lot. I played individual sports and team sports, and team sports is much more difficult because there's so many more variables that you don't control.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's such an integral value that we grow up with, when we do play team sports. I grew up playing, I think the first one I ever played was like soccer. I was like second grade, and then my dad was our coach, and and then after that it was baseball, and then basketball, and then football, and my football careers ended in junior high when I didn't grow. But you're right, man. It's like you realize through team sports, like different responsibilities, and it's a reflection of society, right? It's a reflection of a working society. People are supposed to lean into their strengths. People are supposed to lean into the things that they're good at. Like I was watching the Houston OKC game yesterday, and they were talking about, who's that guy that do you know was defending James Harden? who's kind of killing it with his on OKC. He's killing it with his defense. I forgot his name, but pretty much halftime, Chuck was like, "Don't shoot the ball," because he was at halftime. He was like 0 for 9, like on threes, and to the point, dude, where Houston wasn't even putting any defense on him. They were just letting them shoot, and he was bricking everything. Yet he was actually, the first half, he was shutting down James Harden, and it was, you know, great to see such a young player shutting down such an elite player. But he was still shooting, and they kept saying he has to stop shooting. He has to drive in, or he has to kick the ball out or something. But he has to realize he's a defender and lean into his strengths. And I think that's what you kind of learn. It's like, you know, like Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman knew exactly what he was supposed to do on the court, and he leaned into it and he dominated. You know, don't try to be everything for everybody. Just like know your role. And that's exactly what it is like to be in a society where we know our roles, how we're supposed to uplift everyone around us. And when we can, what did Denzel say? When it's about harnessing that anger and putting it into a team effort to deliver perfection, right?
Yeah.
That's something like that. So I think that, man, yeah, I agree. If we all played team sports, we'd be better, a little bit better, I think.
Well said. All right, Travis. So we got a few segments here. We're gonna start with over or under. I'm gonna give you two scenarios. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. One scenario and a number, and you will pick over or under. You currently live in Los Angeles, and the king, LeBron James, is the leader of the Lakers. He is sitting right now with 3 rings. Over or under, when LeBron's career is all said and done, he will have 4 championships. So I guess the question is, will he have the same and never win, or will he at least win 2 more? That's, I guess, the question, over or under.
2 more, man. Right, 'cause it's tough because it's like he's year 17, right? And it's like what I feel like he's doing is unprecedented. So it's like
Me
every single
too.
year, everybody's like, how does he keep getting better in different aspects? So man, the optimist in me says says that he's gonna have at least 2 more championships. But I don't know, like, bro,
Well,
you and I, we're getting older, right?
yeah.
And we're seeing like how quick our physical motor skills change just out of nowhere. I'm like, how, like, just last week I could do this, and now I did the same thing, and now my back, what? So I think that's the thing that's keeping me kind of like,
I think LeBron is probably one of the smartest athletes I've ever seen in my life. And I actually think his number is going to end at 5. So I think he's going to win 2 more, right? Including this year. And I think LeBron, when he was on the Heat, he saw Tim Duncan defer to younger, great players like Kawhi. And I think he will eventually, and he's already slowly starting to let Anthony Davis have the shine. I don't know if he's going to win 5 NBA Finals MVP, but I do think he will have 5 rings. So I do see that.
yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, because you're right, because especially how his game has changed. He's really gone from like just, the Heat days. He was that like enforcer dude. Like D Wade, throw it up. Slam it down and just dominate. And you can see, like, especially in these runs, how much of a backseat he's taken in trying to get his teammates. And then he'll turn it on, and that's been really fun to watch these past few games when he just, it's like LeBron doing his thing. But yeah, I wonder too. I think that there's so many variables. It's like when you have a player of that stature who's like the greatest of our generation at the very least, that comes with a price tag. And that price tag, is tough with getting other players, other contracts. I just think there's, us being sports fans, and especially us being Seahawks fans, we know how much contracts can change things up. And because basketball is such a team sport, like I said, like I want to say, yeah, and I hope he plays forever. I
Yeah.
hope that
Yeah. Yeah.
Ron just doesn't stop and like becomes the oldest player ever, becomes the highest scorer ever.
I was truly sad when Kobe retired, and I will be truly sad when LeBron retires too. It's just been so long. Yeah.
It's like we were messaging, like seeing him and Melo still going at it, and that even in that last game, especially, like, and just see them, like, they were laughing and
Yeah.
did you watch the last Lakers game?
I
Were
saw.
you?
I only got to see the highlights. I was at work all day.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sure you were. Yeah, just him and Melo, like he had drawn a foul on Melo, and he knew it, and they were just laughing, and he just it was funny to see LeBron like, come on Melo, and
I love
Melo,
it. Love it.
I
Love
love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Those are our dudes,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Those are our
Yeah,
dudes.
for sure. All right. So we are both Seahawks fans, like you mentioned.
Mm.
And in the Russell Wilson era, the Seattle
Shout out to
Seahawks.
Mike Kim for rocking my hoodie, the
Oh,
Atreo,
yeah.
the signature hoodie. Thanks, man.
TravisAtreo.com. Cop it.
And and shout out to Mike and Stacy and Elia for the Asian American Girl Club shirt and for the support for AGC.
Yes. Love it. Love it. You gotta support stuff you believe in. Sorry. So yeah, Seahawks. We're in the Russell Wilson era. Their
Mm.
worst record is 9-7 during the 2017 season. Other than that, we've won 10 games or more. Our best record has been 12-4. So over or under, the Seattle Seahawks will win 12 games this year. So it's basically saying, will we have our best Russell Wilson season this year or not?
I mean, he did say, right, that he feels like he's just he's just getting started, or what did he say? He said
Yeah.
he hasn't reached his prime yet.
Yeah. And he said he wants to play 15 more years.
You know, I mean, it's like the LeBron thing. Like, LeBron and Tom Brady are known to be the athletes that spend the most on their bodies, right? They spend at least $1 million a year just on what is it like rehab and
Nutrition.
diet,
Yeah.
nutrition, all that stuff. And I think that because players have so many options nowadays, and because sports science is pretty incredible too, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past anybody nowadays. Like if you're willing to, if you're an elite player at that level and you can afford it, I think that you really can take care of your body. And so I do think that Russell Wilson, again, I'm optimistic, and I think that
He's going over. He's going over.
I'm the worst sports fan because I'm too practical. I'm always like, I want us to dominate. I want Russell Wilson to just crush it. But as a Seahawks fan, dude, you never know.
Yeah.
Any game,
Yep.
like how many how many times, dude? And of course, on paper, it's like, oh, Seahawks win again. Like my friends that don't like Seahawks, they say it all the time. But I wish that I could like show them the emotional journey it took to those wins, because it's like this
Yeah.
is not
I wish
fun.
they could. Yeah. I wish they could monitor us and see our heartbeat during games.
Seriously, it is not. It's the most stressful thing to be a Seahawks fan. Yo, with
That
it,
sounded like you're going over, man.
it depends on our defense, and I think that like if our defense can do it, then heck yeah, heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pete and John, please sign Clowney. We need him. So going from
We still haven't signed him yet.
no, we're still negotiating. So going from our favorite Seahawks, who have given us so many great memories, we're going the opposite way to the Mariners.
Oh, hey,
O-
Mariners are kind of killing it right now.
Over or under? So okay, sorry. Context first. The Mariners have the longest drought in North American sports for the playoffs. If you were born the year after the Mariners last went to the playoffs, you can vote this November in the election.
Yo,
So
that's a.
yeah, 2001 was the last time we went to the playoffs. Over or under, we will make the playoffs within 5 years.
Oh yeah, I think so.
So
You
that's
know,
under then, right? Under, yeah. So yeah,
yeah, I think so.
you are an optimist.
I am an optimist. I just
Love it.
guard, and I'm an optimist, and then when things don't go my way, I write a song about it.
Yeah, Kyle Lewis is killing us. Shout out to Kyle Lewis. Love the Mariners.
Dude, that yo, that dude's an athlete. You see him
Yeah,
dunking
yeah,
things, like, man, that kid is special.
yeah. All right, so we're gonna move on to this or that, and this is the Travis Atreo edition. Neither one of these questions will be about sports, but I just want to know this or that. Travis Atreo, you are a Filipino American. I want to know this or that: adobo or Sinigang?
Bro, this is like, oh, that's like saying, uh, sundubu or kimchi jjigae.
So
Or
listen, so listen. You're not asking me questions. I'm asking you questions.
this is true. This is true. I would say sinigang because I think that for me sinigang, like adobo slaps for days, all the time, every day. But I grew up eating that more, and I make that a lot more than I get to eat sinigang.
Mm.
Sinigang.
Awesome. And if you guys don't follow Travis already on Instagram, follow him. He shows his what he cooks. It looks amazing. I need to have his cooking sometime. All right, this or that. I am curious. I've been trying to figure out the right way to ask this question. This or that. What was more exciting? Taylor Swift tweeting out your YouTube cover of your cover style of her song style, or
Mhm.
appearing on People magazine when you got engaged with your lovely fiance Ali Maki.
Taylor. I think because because the people thing we knew about, and it was like a slow burn for a while, and so when it finally came out, it was like, oh wow, that it came out, that's amazing, like, but I think there was so much going on in that time, and
Mhm.
then but the Taylor thing came literally out of nowhere, so I think there was like no time to even prepare or anything. Like I dropped my phone, like it didn't crack or anything, but like when I saw it, I dropped my phone. So I think that just stuck out because it just happened out of nowhere. But I mean, People Magazine, that's really cool. My mom was very proud at that moment.
Yes, I remember both. Yeah, I remember your mom talking about it at your home show, and I also remember what do you call it, when the Taylor thing happened. That was, you're right, because it happened so much earlier. Yeah, that it
Yeah.
just meant yeah. That's I remember
It's one of those
thinking
things I remember we were talking about it and stuff, and I was just like,
yeah.
what the? This is so random, but okay.
It's yeah, it's I can't imagine what. Oh, I mean, I only imagined it what it meant from me to you. I can't imagine what it meant from you. So that's exciting stuff. And Elia right now loves Taylor Swift. Like she'll ask to turn on Taylor Swift. So it's yeah. All right.
I
So moving on to top 5 dead or alive, where I give you a category and you're gonna rank stuff in no particular order. I don't need you to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 5 in any order. To you, Travis Atreo, top 5 dead or alive Seattle sports athletes.
top 5. Oh man, that's a lot. Top sports athletes. Gary Payton, Sean Kemp. Let's see here. I mean, yeah, Ken Griffey, um, Edgar. Man, I know that I'm already missing someone else iconic, but just off the top of my head, I mean, then Russell Wilson.
I actually think that is the list. If there was a way, there's an alternate.
Johnson,
Yeah,
Ichiro. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, we
Ichiro.
some like, man, that's a good question because
Yeah,
iconic, right?
yes, and also, shout out to the Seattle Storm too, and I think Sue Bird
Yeah,
deserves a recognition in there too. She has 3 rings, and it's
dude,
I
it's so
thought of
cool seeing the Seattle Storm dominate every single year.
they're so good. It's interesting to
Like the
see
Sonics were just like that.
because like the list you said is not like this is why it's an opinion based thing. It's like they're iconic athletes. Like they're amazing, amazing. And like, yeah, Gary Kemp, like, especially for our age group. And I think this also might be a little age oriented too. Like someone who's 16 might not think Sean Kemp.
Right, because I feel like because the definition is iconic, right? And I think with iconic, I don't know. For me, an icon is someone who I grew up, as a kid, who I like personally had idolized and had seen like the enormity of their legacy. So, like those people, I think, were just the ones that so I started with Kemp and Peyton was because they were larger than life growing up in my head, and I get it, because you're right. It's all opinion based because it's based on who we resonated with the most. I feel like as kids, Michael Jordan, like that's why like Gen Z kids nowadays will will not say Michael Jordan because they didn't grow up around him, but we did. I mean, he's the sports god.
Yeah.
you know?
No, I finally understood why old heads were talking about other players while we were talking about Jordan. Because I was just like, how is this debatable? But then like kids, so the thing is though, I wish sports, politics, everything, that's opinion based,
Mm-hmm.
we got to respect each other's opinions on stuff. And like we said earlier, we're not talking about politics when it comes to social injustice. We're talking about just humanity in general. So yeah, when it comes to sports too, but sports topics get heated too. Like I've seen some shouting matches. I might have been involved in some shouting matches that are about nothing, about just a game. So yeah.
Always, but that's the passion we love about we love about sports and stuff. Is
Oh, I remember.
of it is that we get so mad, and frustrated with other people and their opinions. But then at the end of the day, we're like, we're not the ones playing.
No, but like we also, I don't know if you remember this moment, Travis. Like there was a year, I don't remember what season it was, but I can tell we were both on some arrogant level Seahawk fan going on. And we were playing the Cowboys, and I think we were up like 3-4 touchdowns at halftime. And you were like, "Dude, let's go get food." In the middle of halftime, because we're gonna win, and we visited your boy Nate's truck, Big Boys, and got sandwiches.
Did. Right. Oh my gosh, that's right, man.
Yeah, and we came back to home, and we're still winning by like 3 touchdowns. That was when we were like, I knew at that point I was getting a little big headed about being a Seahawks fan too.
Oh,
But
it,
for
people don't understand too is like the reason why it's like that is because for the longest time we were never winning ever. I mean,
a
it
lot
was
of heartache.
a lot of heartache. So, when people do, and that's the thing I'm trying to understand also is like, when people do get cocky about their teams, like that's the beauty of sports. Like, it happens. Like if your team is killing it, then of course you got to root for your team. But
That's
but
right.
just know that it literally goes like this. Like it's tough, man.
That's right. That's right. All right. So the last top five for you, Travis Atreo, top five music projects that you've been a part of. So this could be singles, albums, concerts, whatever was your top five projects that you've been a part of.
Um, being a part of creating Peaches, I think was really cool. Peaches from
A
my old band New Heights.
legendary.
I thought that was, that's one of my top 5 moments because I think it taught me a lot of just about music and how never write off a song just because it was written a while ago. Because when that song popped off online, it was already 7 years old.
Really?
We had retired it from even playing live because we were like, man, people don't really like the song. They like our newer stuff more. And then the song just blew up. So I'd say that was one of my most favorite because it just shows you like to just keep creating. No matter don't create based on people's reception. Create based on your reaction to the art that you create. And if it's a story, if it's a piece of art that you feel like needs to get out there and people need to hear it, then show them the images, show them the music that you need people to hear. Not want, but you need people to hear because from your heart. That's what I learned. Man, uh, I mean, the Taylor Swift thing is pretty cool, just because at that time it was, I was really close to giving up, like performing. I was just like trying to transition my business from being a performer into behind the scenes and producing. So that was really significant to me because it made me believe that I should try being an artist one more time. Um, Man, project. I remember playing ISA in San Jose was a special moment because that was the first time that I realized, again, with Peaches and just with the internet, how you can have your eye not even on the radar of what's happening, but then people still resonate with your music and a song can blow up. Because at that moment, I remember nobody ever sang our songs ever because we had been playing for like, it's like at the time, up to that time, New Heights had been playing shows not for fans, but for people that we were trying to make become fans or trying to get interested in us. So it was always like an uphill battle, but that was the first time that I felt like we were playing in front of fans because they were singing our songs, our lyrics, and we never ever experienced that before. Man, man, I'm trying to think of what else.
I mean, while you think about it, I should add, I actually first saw Travis performing. First two times was performing Collaboration Seattle and ISA Seattle. And I remember I could not believe did not know who they were. And it was so amazing to watch that I had made a
I couldn't believe I
tweet.
didn't know you. Remember? Like that was the thing. We were like, how do we know everybody else like but each other?
Yeah, and I just yeah, it was that was a definite moment. I remember watching in Showbox in Soto when you were performing, and it was amazing to watch. And I was actually right in the middle in the front, and I think you and Clara were singing, and
That's right.
it was a phenomenal performance. I loved it so much.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean that I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of even more like iconic moments and stuff. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more, especially like right now with, but I don't know. I can't remember.
No, it's all good. A lot of these top five don't even end up with five. Some people name eight, some people name three. So like it always just goes off, yeah, what it is.
I will say one of the most significant things to me in my music career that has happened within this quarantine, which has been finding my community through live streaming. I think that's something that has really just opened up my mind to another sector of the internet, another place where musicians can thrive. I never got into Twitch streaming music like prior to this. I had a lot of friends that have done it for a while, and I was always like, that's great, but I just don't know if I have the bandwidth and capacity to do it because of the other things, you know, that I'm doing, like weekly covers and working on, you know, original music and filming. So this quarantine really taught me that the power of Twitch, of streaming, and how there's a huge need for it right now, and people are really really hungry for that, especially, you know, because we're all grieving within this pandemic, right? And
Yeah.
people need to hear things. They need art more than ever, and so that's why I encourage artists to right now is if you've been waiting, now is the one of the most important times, because people are suffering, you know, people are hurting from being furloughed, laid off, being financially insecure, like even like with housing, you know, people are scared here in California when when you know, the what's it called, the mandate to keep people in their homes, to stop evictions ends. Like, what are they going to do? So I think that if there's any time right now, it's really for us artists, because we can really actually bring comfort and and love to those people in like a massive way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful way to end it. Cause I did want to mention before we log out today that Travis does stream live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He just puts in so much work. Check out his Spotify channel, Travis Atreo. It's amazing. We go through it all the time, me and Elia. His merch at
Thanks.
travisatreo.com. I don't know what's available. It seemed like a lot was sold out. So we'll see going
Yeah,
forward
no, it's
too.
sold out. You know, is amazing. I'm so thankful, man. Thank you for all the
Yes.
support.
And of
But
course,
but we're gonna be doing a restock.
Ali's website too, Asian American Girls Club. Love it. Support. Beautiful. And then also one final thought as we leave today. We can't leave without saying our thoughts and prayers are with the families of, we lost a lot of lives this week. Legendary University of Arizona head coach Lute Olson,
Hmm.
NBA legend Clifford Robinson, and then of course Chadwick Boseman, who was in sports movies such as Draft Day, 42, and obviously the iconic, you know, movie Black Panther, you know, Wakanda Forever. Thank you, Travis, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.